than nothing, the same old plain roll.
Welcome back to DwreckTV. I'm Dweck. And now we're in day 6 of ranking Bound for Glory. And I'll tell you what, it's been a chore this whole week, much like how it was a few months back for WrestleManias, but my goodness. I'm gonna push through it. But I just gotta tell y'all right here, right now, when it comes to these Bound for Glories that's coming up during the Wii U era, we're talking late 2013 going all the way up to late 2016. I was completely gone from WWE and TNA during this time, and I was solely invested with New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor during this whole time. And I did not watch any pay-per-views of TNA and WWE during this time. So going into these pay-per-views, I had no idea who everybody was, especially during this time because everybody was leaving. Like, everybody was gone. Everybody from AJ Styles left in 2014. Jeff Jarrett left in 2014. Like, everybody was just dropping. Everybody was leaving. Alex Shelley, he left to New Japan to go be part of Time Splitters with Kushida. And just everybody was going. Like, Hernandez was gone. Homicide was gone. Kurt Angle and Sting were just barely hanging on by a thread. And even Hulk Hogan, he leaves around late 2013, goes back to WWF. But all of the stars were just leaving, like, throughout that whole time. Only ones that were left behind were guys like Abyss and Eric Young and Kurt Angle. Everybody else was gone. But this is what I call the dark ages of TNA. Because they've fallen so far from where they used to be. So far from the days on Spike TV and having so many great pay-per-views. So many great ones. Like, just banger after banger. And whether people want to admit it or not, TNA delivered on pay-per-views all the freaking time. Like, their positives outweighed the negatives. But when it came to this, ever since they turned blue, ever since they went with the blue ropes and the blue logos and everything, they just like nosedive hard. I don't know if they ever recovered from this, but when I did my research and rewatched all the Bound for Glories during this time, dude, I didn't miss anything. I really didn't. I mean, probably a few matches were really good, but I didn't miss a lot. Being with New Japan during this time was a godsend. I'll tell you that right now. But we're not here to talk about New Japan. We're not here to talk about Ring of Honor. We're here to talk about TNA and Bound for Glory. So, what did I miss out on during this time? Let's start things off with Bound for Glory 2013. This was during the time when, like I said, I was solely with New Japan, so watching this, it was okay, to the point of, like, I know I didn't miss out on a lot of things during this pay-per-view, and it definitely showed, but for the most part, it was alright. I kind of find it funny and odd, that the opening match, the Ultimate X match, also featured Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries. This being Jeff Hardy's first Ultimate X match, I think it's like long overdue. But you would think that someone like Jeff Hardy would excel in an Ultimate X match. But it was alright. But like I said, I find it funny that Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy are in the opening match when they main evented the previous year's Bound for Glory. Man. But it was alright. Not one of the best Ultimate X matches, but it was enjoyable. But no, what killed that for me was they had a ladder in it. Like, why would you bring a ladder in an Ultimate X match? That makes no sense. You're supposed to climb across. Having the ladder in it it killed the entire point. But this was TNA during the 2010, so what the fuck ever. And Bobby Roode fighting Kurt Angle again. The main event from 2011. This match was pretty good. And what else? Hey, EC3 had a match against a jobber. Looked like Brandon Collins was more stockier than that dude. But that was definitely a throwaway match. And Dixie Carter throughout this whole thing was like, "Why are you here? Dixie Carter, why are you here? You do not belong here. You have no business being in pro wrestling at all, or even on camera. She should have stayed backstage." Oh. And then Magnus fighting Sting. It was alright. Main event being AJ Styles fighting Bully Ray Dudley. That match was nuts. That was probably one of the best matches on the whole card, for better or for worse. And everybody wants to say that there are like so many empty seats. I didn't see an empty seat in there. Maybe on the hard camera side, but if you see it in front of the camera, they a whole lot of people. But they tore the ring up, literally. They tore the ring up. But where would I put 2013's Bound for Glory? There's no like sentimental value to this pay-per-view to me at all because I was gone from TNA. So watching this with a fresh set of eyes, it was alright, but you could definitely tell the writing was on the wall. The proof is in the pudding, if you will. TNA's hot days were long gone. I would put this one. I put out a low B. I mean, it was alright. It wasn't the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen. But, yeah, it's definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen by any stretch of the imagination. But it's definitely not the best Bound for Glory ever. Like, the days of 2006 Bound for Glory, 2008 were long gone by this time. And it's such a shame, too. It's a shame that in 2008 TNA was on fucking fire. And then fast forward 09, 10, 11, 12, 5 years later, it's frustrating. I'm from the heart, it is very frustrating that TNA fell this hard. My God! Blame it on mismanagement. Blame it on a lot of people. Alright. Next, we're going to go into Bound for Glory 2014. It was co-joined with Wrestle One, Keiji Muto's company, when he left All Japan Pro Wrestling. And the matches on this were pretty good. It took place in Tokyo, Japan, in the Korakuen Hall. It was definitely a change of pace. And the matches were alright. You had TJP fighting Minoru Tanaka, good stuff. EC3 was fighting Hama, that big tub of lard right there. And even a three-way X Division between Loki, Samoa Joe, and Kaz Hayashi, someone I ain't seen since WCW. To see him still going is phenomenal. Especially at his age at that time, it was phenomenal seeing Kaz Hayashi again. That was a good one. Then another hardcore match with the Dudley Boys fighting Tommy Dreamer and Abyss. That was pretty funny. It was pretty good. And even having Bubba Ray Dudley holding up a Bullet Club shirt because Bullet Club was hot. And I'm surprised that the Bullet Club got as big as it did. I was very surprised. But back to Bound for Glory. And the main event was just a head scratcher. Probably the biggest head scratcher of a main event of Bound for Glory I've ever seen. James Storm teaming up with the Great Sanada, taking on the Great Muta and Yoshihiro Tajiri. I was like, what? How is this the main event of Bound for Glory? What sense does it make? I was like, what the fuck ever. But all in all, the show was good, but it did not feel like a Bound for Glory. It felt more like a standalone pay-per-view. This is 2014's did not feel like a Bound for Glory at all by any stretch of the imagination. Even though it was a decent pay-per-view for itself, but for Bound for Glory, I give it a, I'm sorry, but I gotta give it a C. It wasn't not great, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad show at all. The next year is Bound for Glory 2015. Another Ultimate X match. It's exactly what you would expect, but with newer guys I've never seen before. But they were doing some pretty good flips and 630 splashes I ain't seen since Jarrell Clark. And a gauntlet match with a whole bunch of randoms. Had guys like Ken Anderson. I think they had Eli Drake, Tyrus, and a whole bunch of randoms. And the tag team titles being defended between Brian Myers and Trevor Lee against the American Wolves. Brutal. It was crazy. The American Wolves, I remember seeing them in ROH, and my dad even said those guys were good. And then Bobby Lashley against Bobby Roode was good. Gail Kim and Awesome Kong again. Like, what more can they do? Especially and Kurt Angle looking like he's on his last rope against Eric Young. That match was good, but then the main event being another three-way, the second three-way, by adding in a guest referee. It was Drew McIntyre against EC3, Ethan Carter III against Matt Hardy, and the referee being Jeff Hardy. This match was probably the best match of the whole night, even better than the opening match. And just seeing everybody go at it and everything. Matt Hardy even persevering to become the TNA World Champion with the help of Jeff, because EC3 is a freaking dick. But that match was nuts. Probably the most out of control match I've seen in a Bound for Glory main event in quite a while. But where would I rank 2015? It was not memorable. I don't know if I probably would watch it again, but it's going to be a while. But I would put it at a C. A high C. High C.
High C, where the fun is.
And this is yours.
But it was definitely not one of the best Bound for Glories at all, but it was not bad. Now, compared these Bound for Glories, compared with these with the WrestleManias at that time, I would choose these Bound for Glories over any WrestleMania after 26. Hands down. The last Bound for Glory of this era was Bound for Glory 2016. This was during a time when I actually thought that TNA was going to be going out of business. I really thought that TNA was going to be going out of business during this time, especially after this pay-per-view, because it's like, what can they do? They lost everybody. They lost all the people. They lost Kurt Angle. They lost Sting. They lost everybody. Everybody was gone. All they had left was guys like EC3, Bobby Lashley. They had the Hardy Boys. They had Abyss. Abyss was the only person in the whole company. Even James Storm, I think James Storm was still around this time, but those were the only two guys that stayed with TNA since year one. This Bound for Glory was alright. Trevor Lee reminds me of Random DCE. If y'all, the YouTuber Random DCE, that's what Trevor Lee looks like to me. So seeing him fight is like seeing Random DCE fight somebody. And another gauntlet match with a whole bunch of randoms, and Moose and Mike Bennett from ROH fight. Moose, I remember seeing Moose in Ring of Honor. I thought he was pretty cool. And then Eddie Edwards fighting Aaron Stevens for the first ever Grand Championship. And then the Broken Hardy Boys taking on Decay in a hardcore match. That was nuts. I'll tell you what, TNA always delivers on hardcore matches. This one was no exception. And the main event being Bobby Lashley fighting Ethan Carter III for the TNA World title. Crazy, brutal, hard-hitting, spears all over the place. And just when you thought EC3 was going to win, Bobby Lashley hits a super spear to beat him. It was a good show. Not the best, but it was still decent. But the women's matches still... Where would I put Bound for Glory 2016? It's a solid C because they got the stars are gone. TNA is pretty much like a shell of its former self, and then them just still chugging along during this time, especially in a time when it was just like in despair. This was definitely an era of despair for TNA. And it's like, it's discouraging. It really is. But, in its defense, I would rather watch these 4 Bound for Glories over the WrestleManias that took place after 26. Any day. And everybody wants to say like, and it's not just a knock on WWE all the time and everything, but the proof is in the pudding. Like, yeah, WWE got a big budget, and they got so many people in there, and they got eyes on the products and everything, but their product and the in-ring stuff is just absolute shit. And what I mean by absolute shit is like they got no care. Yeah, they're making money, but it just feels so fabricated and artificial and pasteurized and sanitized for everybody's safety, everybody. But when it comes to TNA during this time, even though they were in this absolute shitter, they made it count. They went out there, they did their best, for better or for worse. Come hell or high water, TNA shows, even though they lost all their stars, they still made an effort to make it good. And yes, there have been pay-per-views where TNA was absolute shit, and they knew it, and everybody knows it. Even I knew it. But compared this to WrestleMania 30, 31, 32, and even 29, yeah, they had a whole bunch of people in freaking arenas, and even the Superdome that was an hour away from my house. TNA was in the impact zones in front of 900 people, 900 screaming people. I would say I would rather an impact zone than the freaking Superdome with a whole bunch of freaking people just like, and the whole show was shit. Alright, I'm done with the rant. That's it for today. That's all I got. That's it for today, for this edition of Bound for Glory. Stay tuned tomorrow where we go into the Switch era of Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory. So, that's it I got for y'all. This is Drek signing out. See y'all tomorrow. Same time, same channel. See you on the flip side.